Hey folks, well I'm here. I'm wondering where Jan is. Jan is due at 8:15. I'm due a little bit later, so I'm kind of trying to see when she's going to start transmitting on the page. But good evening, welcome to the Vector Reading Series, and welcome to our scheduled broadcast. Now, as I say, I'm down to read in about half an hour, so I will do my best to wing it until we see Jan. But if she doesn't arrive, then obviously I'll move things forward and we'll do stuff. Now I'm hoping that my poor little laptop here will be able to keep a check on things without suddenly getting an echo, because we don't want that to happen in terms of what's there. But I hope everyone is doing okay. In terms of things that are here, welcome to the BSFA Awards location, as I mentioned in my my little introductory spiel when I was talking the other week. It is our spare room now. It's quite carefully arranged in that you get a nice sort of clear setup, but we have kind of been sort of clearing out and managing everything over the period that we've been home. There is a vast array of chaos over here, but there is a special guest down here who I was opening the door for the other day. And this is Winifred. Winifred is my lovely cat. Those of you that have been to conventions might know Winifred, my lovely cat. She has to have medication every 12 hours because she has fits, but she is really, really such a sweetheart. Has a head injury. Essentially, when we got her about 7 years ago, yes, she's about 7. She looks still like a kitten, but she's about 7. When we got her about 7 years ago, she was a rescue and she had fits. So we basically took her in because we were begged to take her in by my partner's sister-in-law, and so she comes with us, wherever we go. So for about the last 7 years, most of our holidays have been wherever we can find a cat-friendly hotel. So she's been to a couple of fantasy cons. She's certainly enjoyed the trip, and occasionally she gets taken for a walk on a lead, which is always quite fun and does raise a few eyebrows to people. But she's incredibly affectionate, very, very cuddly, and has no balance because, she kind of falls off of stuff. So in a bit, if she chooses to jump down off my lap, then you'll see she'll probably slam down on the floor, but it's got a carpet, so she'll be all right in terms of what's there. So yes, anyway, as I say, Jan obviously has not joined us yet. I've not seen her, so what I'll do is I'll bump things forward and hopefully she'll join us a little bit later. So yes, welcome to my slot here as part of the reading series. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Alan Stroud, the chair of the association. Yes, I write a little bit. I do a little bit of everything, really. I write for computer games, I write for books, I write for role-playing games. I live in a messy house that's full of creative stuff, and I lecture in media and communications at Coventry. So yeah, I do quite a lot of different bits and pieces. Probably not enough of any one thing, but that has been the bane of my life. And people have said to me before now, "Oh, why don't you just stick to something?" But I quite like a bit of variety in terms of what I do. So essentially the plan for this evening was to read a little bit from the sequel book that I'm writing at the moment. Now, the thing is that I had a variety of different novels out. I started with fantasy. I started as a self-published fantasy author, and that was back in 2012, 2013. And really, for a number of years before that, I'd been trying to do something with my writing, but never had necessarily enough confidence or enough ability. And, everyone's got their different journey in terms of the way in which things work. So I got to 2013 and decided I need to get something out, and I put out a fantasy novel. Got involved in a computer game project. That then spiraled into working on a PhD, and gradually things have sort of started to get better in terms of the way in which I've looked at my writing, I have learned so much. I thought I was a writer back then. Goodness, I was not a writer, or not a very good one, back before that. And I have learned so much from reviewing books, from reading books. I've reviewed for all sorts of different websites, read all of the stuff that I could lay my hands on over a long period of time, and gradually managed to get somewhere. Now, the thing I noticed with this particular camera, right, is that it's reversed for you. It's a bit different. So when I pick up this and show you Fearless from Flame Tree Press, which is my book that's out in September and the sequel I'm going to be reading from, I can see now that it's reversed when I look at it on the screen. But of course, when I did the little video the other day, I was kind of, I was not seeing that this was the wrong way around. So yeah, I was just a bit rubbish in terms of what was there. So yeah, it does say Fearless. That looks like it's something else. Clearly, I live in Red Dwarf, or something, a Red Dwarf episode or something. But it does say Fearless. Anyway, so this is due out in September, and we've just been getting some of the cover quotes in and some of the pre-reviews in, which have been really nice and really supportive. And if you're a writer at all, you will know that you really need that kind of little bit of confidence sometimes. I come across as quite a confident person, but you do really need that little bit of confidence. You need people to tell you sometimes that something's good, and that something's quite, that they like it. So I've always been one of those people who is very good at promoting others. I'm very good at talking about how great their things are and everything else. And I'm really not very good at talking about whether my stuff's any good. And I'm quite critical of my work as well. So it was really nice to get some really good feedback on Fearless, and to speak with Flame Tree. We met at Worldcon, and Nick Wells and I had a conversation, and then he chose to read the manuscript, which was lovely. And then subsequently we've worked through it over the 6 months. But yeah, it was really nice to get the feedback from them. It gave me some encouragement that I was actually doing something that was worthwhile doing. And yeah, so it's kind of spiraled from there. And the key thing with this particular series that I'm interested in kind of writing about is I have a main character who's disabled. She was born with no legs, and Elisa Shan, who the main character, she essentially, I wanted to write a story where it wasn't an overcoming narrative. It wasn't a narrative where somebody, despite this or anything else, or you're trying to have some sort of sympathetic angle because of this or this or this. I really, really wanted to write something whereby somebody was able to just talk about life as if it was just their life, and I was struck by a panel that I went to at an EasterCon, and previously there was a panel at a Worldcon on a similar theme, where people were talking about, heroes and characters they could identify with that were different, and had different qualities about them, and maybe resonated with them or anything else. And it struck me that I'd like to write something, that had some qualities of somebody that wasn't, it was a bit different in terms of how they came across. And I really enjoyed writing it. So it was really nice to get some good feedback. And so that has kind of encouraged me to write the second novel in the series. So the first novel is very much, I think I've said before, is kind of Wrath of Khan meets The Expanse, and very sort of military space opera. And I've had a little bit of military space opera published over the last few years with Newcom Press and Bayham Books and a couple of other places. But this very much was trying to explore that and sort of going in a slightly different direction. And I never thought I'd be able to write a whole novel in first person present, which was really weird for me because, you know, when I started writing, I was very much third person past, and that's how I wrote. But this, I started experimenting with first person present maybe 2015, sort of around there, 2016, maybe 2017, and took to it as a style. It took quite a lot of adjustment, you know, in that I really struggle to shift backwards and forwards at times. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and with some short stories, and I thought, you know, I'll have a crack at writing a novel. Had an idea, thought let's give it a go, and I started writing it while I was teaching creative writing at Buxton University. Subsequently left there, moved on to Coventry. Now teach media, and yeah, my writing's kind of become, you know, a bit more of a focus for me, and a bit more of a kind of, you know, a mood change rather than necessarily all part of the, you know, the ongoing stuff that I teach. So what I thought I'd read is, I'm going to read to you the first chapter of my my sequel. This is Powerless. This is the sequel to Fearless, and this hopefully will be something that if people really like the first book, then obviously I'll get a chance to work on the second, and to, you know, to publish the second. So give you a bit of an idea. Now, the first book, as I say, is Wrath of Khan meets The Expanse. The second book is Die Hard on a Space Station. So we're kind of playing with some of the same themes. There's a continuation of the plot from there, but actually there's also a self-contained story. And this particular chapter, chapter 1, starts with a completely new character, and starts giving you a sense of the setting. So it's a fairly straightforward reading, and I think we've got just enough time if Jan is able to join us at 1:45. So we'll see how we go, but having timed this reading, I'm pretty sure we're good. Okay, so chapter 1 from Powerless. Chapter 1, Holder. Name and employee ID, please. I sigh, wipe my sweated forehead with the back of my arm, and hold up my badge right in front of the camera. The guy on the screen leans forward, squinting at it. Sorry, I can't read that. Can you tell me where you're from? Natalie Holder, Amalgamated Solutions? There's a delay. Latency on the connection to his remote access terminal somewhere in the world. The guy glances down at some paperwork in front of him. Yes, okay, I have you. Employee ID number? AK667AB1EA. The same pause. Great. Yes, that's fine. He looks up at me again. You been here before? No, it's my first time. All right. Before you go through, the regs state I need to advise you to make sure you're hydrated and that you have supplies. The hub is one of the least hospitable places on Earth. Your pass entitles you to a 2-hour stay. But after that, it'll expire, and if you stay on premises for too long, you will too. Sure, understood. Great. Then let's get you moving. A beam lances out from beneath the screen, bathing me in red light. I hold my breath, expecting the worst, but the worst doesn't come. Instead, the scan completes and a buzzer sounds. The door in front of me unlocks and starts to swing open. I'm keen to get moving, but I don't touch the moving panel. The last thing I want is unnecessary attention. These people need to think I'm legit. I need to do my part. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm through the door and inside. The temperature is a couple of degrees cooler here, 42 Celsius, as opposed to 44 or 45. I can feel the heat coming off the painted concrete walls. It's like an assault, all targeted at me being the only person here. Out in the middle of nowhere, at the entrance to the eighth wonder of the world. The Atacama Desert is the former Republic of Chile. The Atacama Desert in the former Republic of Chile is home to the largest energy tile farm on Earth. The reflective glow from the massive solar array can be seen from space, even as far as the lunar colony at times. The accompanying underground hydro battery and distribution network make this one of the most sensitive facilities on the planet. It's also unstaffed. The whole complex is unsafe for human habitation, owing to the extreme heat generated by the system. Rather than waste money on expensive coolant processes, everything is designed to tolerate fierce temperatures. The technology in here is the same as the stuff they use on Ceres, and in the asteroid mining stations. 7,000 multinational corporations rely on these arrays for their day-to-day electricity. Supply companies beneath them pay regular rates for their power, and beneath them are the 8 billion individual citizens of Earth. The whole system is a corporate control web. 200 years ago, who'd have thought access to electricity would become the way the powerful keep the rest of us in line? According to the schematic I've seen, mobile autonomous security units patrol the interior, and they're maintained and monitored by different commercial contractors across the globe. Each of them has a territory. While I stay on the authorised route for my visit, they won't be a problem. As soon as I'm detected deviating, the nearest unit will be tasked to intercept me, but there's latency there too, so I'll have a few seconds. So when I make my move, I need to do it carefully. I start down the path. I grew up in Nigeria, so the heat is something I can tolerate. But the reflection of light bouncing off all the tiles is like looking at the sun in all directions. 3 steps in and the brightness is hurting my eyes. I've no choice but to keep my gaze fixed on my feet and the scoured gravel underneath. The instructions specify the distance. I need to walk in meters. I've been practicing to keep my stride at a regular pattern. However, now I'm here, I can't help but worry I've misstepped in some way and I'll end up lost. 16 meters to the first turn. Go right. I make the turn. Any outward sign of hesitation might be observed, so I can't second guess myself all the directions. 8 meters, then left. 12 meters, then right again. 4 meters, then you're there. There's a shadow over the ground where I stop as instructed. I glance to my left, see the control panel, the reason I'm supposed to be here, according to the authorities. I kneel down in front of it. The location is a small blind spot in the camera coverage. I'm expected to be here to work on the system using the panel, diagnose the error that was detected, and apply a bespoke software patch. So there's no need for the security monitoring to be alerted to a deviation. Not for a while. My gaze falls to the metal section beneath the control panel. There's a ventilation grill big enough to fit through. Behind it should be a powerful electrical fan. I reach out and brush my fingers against the metal, but there's no breeze. Either the fan has been switched off, or... I take out my powered screwdriver, fit the correct socket and start undoing the bolts. There's 8 of them, but they come away pretty easily, and the grill lifts off without resistance. Underneath there's no fan, but an open space into the darkness, out of the sun. I sit on the ground and lower myself in. About 3 feet below, my boots meet a step. Then another immediately below that. I turn around and begin climbing down. Into darkness. 6 or 7 steps down and my eyes begin to adjust. I'm in a concrete box. The shadow of objects clutter the floor. I take out a small pen torch and carefully flick it on. The extractor unit has been disassembled and left here in a pile, as they said it would be. The chamber has been excavated too. There's a hole in the far wall where someone's managed to break through to the next room. I step off the ladder and walk towards the hole. I shine my torch into the empty space. If I crouch or get on my hands and knees, I'll be able to get in here, but I need to be careful. The equipment I'm carrying is fragile. Very fragile. I crawl into the hole, shuffling over broken stones and mud. It's much cooler down here where the sunlight can't reach. I'm shivering a little. Maybe I got too used to the blazing heat outside. Well, it'll be hot in here soon enough. The tunnel ends abruptly. I have to trust we're in the right place. Whoever dug this out had a job to do, just like me. I turn and lie flat on my back in the dark. The little pen torch has a corded loop. I drape it over a hanging rock, and it illuminates the space above me, so I can see my hands and work. The 3 containers I've been given are in my pockets. I pull them out and connect them together as I was shown. The device is a reaction explosive, powerful enough to obliterate me and everything around me in a 2-kilometer radius. Once it's activated, the tunnel right above me is above an underground regulator too. Once I press the ignition switch, this whole place will be wrecked. The damage will be catastrophic. Everything has been carefully arranged. That's how it works. You fail when you try to overcomplicate your job. So instead, everyone does a part. The security clearance was forged. The security scanner was hacked. The ventilation system removed. The hole dug. all of it planned and patiently put together over months by different people. I'm the last piece of the puzzle. My hands are shaking either from the cold or from the nerves. I take a moment, steady my breathing. These will be my last minutes alive. I have a purpose. I always wanted a purpose. This is my purpose. This is what I was put here to do, so others can live better and break the chains of slavery. I am what they used to call a martyr, a sacrifice to the cause. The tears come then, and the sobs, great body-racking heaves that make me feel sick and wretch. I try to fight them in the enclosed space, clinging desperately to the tube in my hands, this little 3-section thing that is the key to my future, everyone's future. Then I go calm. They tell you about this when you train. There's a moment of acceptance, a moment when everything becomes clear. The world becomes small and nothing matters apart from you and the trigger, you and the bomb. That's the moment you have to seize. Otherwise you panic and it all goes to shit. I press the trigger. Okay, so that is the first chapter of Powerless. Gives you a very clear idea of where we're going. Character Natalie Holder is she's fascinating. I've spent more time, spoilers ahead, I've spent more time exploring her in the rest of the manuscript, and one of the great things about the period where I've not had to leave my house is actually I have a little bit more time to work on some of my writing. So actually I've had some lovely time to work on my manuscript and to get it towards where it's going to be. So exploring Natalie Holder, little spoiler, might be not dead in a way, has been interesting, has been fascinating to work with. So anyway, that essentially is my little reading for you tonight. Now, hopefully, let's just have a quick look here and see what's been happening with all the messages. Hopefully, Jan is going to be able to join us shortly. I have seen that she's had some trouble in terms of setting a connection up. If you're stuck with me, then hey, what can I talk about? I paint models. I can talk about those. We can pick another book from the shelf. But the key obviously is to for this series for us to all to kind of have something that we tune into and can reach out to in terms of what's there. And I certainly want to thank the editors at Vector, Paulina and Joe, for running this over the long period that they have. It's been quite an organisational feat to get everybody so that they've got this once weekly reading for people to kind of tune into, and it's just nice to be a part of it and to be able to share some of my latest stuff with you. As I say, this is hot off the press. This is what I'm working on, so it's the only thing that you're the only people that will have heard it and seen it. Nobody else other than me has heard any of that before, which I think is quite nice to really share, to be honest. It's nice for me to be able to kind of talk about it and go through it. So hoping then to continue writing that during the rest of the period, and obviously we're all going to try and stay as safe as we are. I think my best wishes to you wherever you are in terms of trying to do the same, and please use your best judgment in that regard. We don't want to hear about anybody really struggling in this, and obviously some people have really, really struggled. But my best to you and yours, and to everyone that in terms of what's there. As an association, and speaking as the chair, we're going to continue to try and reach out. I've got a newsletter that I'm working on. I had a marking deadline this week, which I have been marking and marking and marking. But I have a marking deadline this week, which I've been working to. I've almost finished that. Tomorrow is everything's got to be in. But during the period after that, we're hoping to do more with the BSFA newsletter to give you a bit of an update in terms of stuff that we're doing, and we're obviously try to keep updating our post with all the lovely donated writing that is available there in terms of stuff. So please do take a look. And yeah, stay safe. Okay, so I think that's pretty much going to be it from me. I'm gonna sign off fairly shortly. I'm hoping that Jan will be able to join us, and then she can come onto the page and she'll be able to give you her reading. But until I see you again, hopefully at a convention sometime soon, or maybe at a social event or something else, please do stay safe, and please do look after yourself and look after everyone that's with you. So yeah, goodbye for now. Now I'm gonna come to the camera. So this is cool. It's the Facebook portal. It's actually really good. If you've not got one, we got one from my mum. So, so we could, and it pans, you see, so I can kind of, and it'll keep up, which is great. And you can, if I step around here, it should, oh no, it won't go too far. But you can see in terms of what's there. So yeah, I'm going to sign off. Take care. Thank you, Fiona. I'm glad you love my cat. I love my cat too. I think anybody that meets her, she's so cuddly. She's got thumbs too. She has thumbs. She's got like 6 fingers. So yeah, I'm signing off. So take care, and hopefully we'll be joined by Jan soon. Be safe.